All right, I want you to tell me about the knife incident. The problem with the
Oh,
knife.
the knife throwing incident. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So you can actually watch it on YouTube
Yeah.
because a girl called Kelly was in the audience. There was a juggler with us, Ken Pretentious. I don't know if you know him, but Ken, or Pretentious Ken, or Do Different, calls himself now. Well, he was our juggler for the show, and his girlfriend Kelly was in the audience
Yeah.
filming.
Yeah.
So just per chance, we got this on film. It was,
Yes.
the whole thing went mental in terms of the press. It was in all the British newspapers, page 3 of the Sun, believe it or not.
Page 3.
Yeah, I mean, huge articles, big articles. It was a massive thing. Basically, what happened was there's a lad called Zippo Circus every year does a showcase.
I know
We get an
Zippo Circus.
invitation
I've heard
to
of
go
them. Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get an invitation to go down, look at the acts that have been at the academy, and
Yeah.
then obviously employ them. And it looks good for Zippo because he's things are getting jobs, and it's good for us because we're getting to see up and coming talent, that have been well trained.
Yeah.
So we went down there. There wasn't a lot, but there was this one character who's who had a really interesting sort of way about him. His act wasn't particularly good. He did a scapology, a bit of trapeze,
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. And obviously, after the knife throwing incident, he became Slasher Hickson. That's how he got his nickname. He also did an Elvis Presley act, which we found about later, which we used in another year of the show because we did like an Elvis show thing. So he was a bit of a star for a few years with us. We built shows around the character.
Yeah.
So he came to. We saw him. We didn't think, and then we got home. We thought, actually, let's give him a tinkle. So we called him up, and he came. He missed the original auditions for us, but he came up a little bit later, and he drove up with a little mini car, and with this knife throwing board strapped to the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even on a proper roof rack, just literally strapped with wagon straps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he come to my house because he missed the first auditions, carted this thing through the house, put it up in the garden,
Yeah.
and I stood on the board. I said, "Okay, throw the knives round me then." Yeah, and he said to me, "What happens if I hit you?" I said, "If you hit me, you haven't got the job." So he didn't hit me, and he got the job. So we started the shows off. I think we'd been doing about 2 weeks, and the show at the time, it was a parody of John Major, who just lost his job as Prime Minister. But
Yes.
if you remember, he came from a circus family.
He ran
the
away from the
character-
circus to become a
That's
politician.
right. The character that Joe played was a businessman who's lost all his money, who wanders back into the circus.
Yeah.
He goes to the circus. So he comes into this surreal circus where he meets Slasher, and he puts him on the board, puts Joe on the board.
Yeah.
It's like a nightmare scenario in his head because he sees him do the escapology, which I think you can see on the YouTube clip.
Right, yes.
I can't remember what knife it was, but knife 3 on 5 or something or other, boom, it hits him. Yeah. Well, we don't know this because we're backstage.
Hits him where, though? Hits him where?
Sorry?
Hits him where?
It hits him. Sorry, yeah, because we're on the radio thing. It hits him on the left shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Where the shoulder and the torso join.
Yes.
Which is actually where there's a nerve. A blood vessel.
A vessel,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't, and it was a good wound. It wasn't like a bounce off. It was like a good hit. Yeah. Joe comes backstage. No, sorry, I come on. Joe goes off. I don't know this has happened.
Yes.
So that's why if you watch the YouTube clip, we let it run.
Yeah.
There's my whole act with the square-wheeled bicycle.
Yes.
And then right at the end, Joe comes back on and he sits on the ghost bench next to me. And if you notice, he lifts his jacket and shows me this wound and then closes it again. Yeah, so I've seen. And what he's done, he's gone off and he's put a red T-shirt on. in the
Yes.
great tradition of the British military, he's
Yes.
put this red T-shirt on. So he's got a wound. I didn't know the extent of the wound.
Yeah.
We finished the show. He finished the show.
Wow.
And that was near the start. So we did another hour and whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as it finished, we took him to hospital.
Oh my God.
Yeah, where he had stitches, obviously, quite a few. I think about 5 or 6 stitches on a wound.
Yeah.
Even thinking about it is like
It's horrible.
yeah. And then our press lady, can't remember her name now, but she just rang up the EDP and told it happened in Earlham Park in Norwich, so right on our home turf.
Yeah.
So she rang up the EDP and told them it had happened, because I said to her, look, I said, you know, all publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
Surely we can do something with this, you know, because we had the footage as well.
Yes.
So it goes in the EDP and then it goes on Anglia Television, because we've got the footage. Yeah?
Yeah.
Next thing we know, boom, the press are calling us. The Mirror, the Mail, the Sun, the Guardian,
Wow.
the Times, the Telegraph. Everybody wants a bit of the action. They send reporters, they take photographs. Tears of a Clown, I think, was the headline in one of the papers. We've got all the cuttings. We still got them. And Ken Pretentious, he was a hero because he collected all the cuttings and put them into a big collage,
Wow.
which he presented to Joe. It went, and obviously the next venue was Mulbarton, which is just outside Norwich, which was full. I've never seen so many people walk up to see a show. So the publicity was brilliant. And obviously Houdini came to mind. You know, people don't want to see you die, but if the possibility exists, they'd like to be there.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know? So that carried on. And what I did, Joe, obviously being a trooper, and there's many occasions when Joe did this, you know, the show must go on.
Yeah.
So the next night, I called up a friend of mine called Gary, who I knew was a knife thrower. He'd retired. He was about 60. He's still alive.
Yeah.
And I said to Gary, I said, mate, I said, you couldn't come down here and give us a hand, could you?
Yeah.
I didn't think he would to be in the act. I wanted him to teach my knife thrower
Yeah.
a few bits of technique.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
Of course.
which he did. And he did turn up, and Slasher had his lessons. We did the whole rest of the season. We took the show up to Southport Dome, like a pleasure beach thing, working for Zippos actually. And I think we did 2 shows a day for 40 days.
Wow.
So that's 80 shows, plus the ones we'd done earlier in the season. So we must have done about 160 shows that year. And he never hit him again.
So it was a horrible accident, but actually business-wise, it was brilliant. Goldmine.
Yeah. I mean, and there was no compensation liable to Joe because he's one of the owners. So
Perfect. Perfect
Slasher
accident.
became slightly legendary for
Yeah.
it. Obviously, so did Joe. You know, we kept Tony on for quite a while. For about 3 years, I think he worked with us.
Tony the
So he did
Slasher.
that show. The next year, we used his talent as an Elvis impersonator because he was the worst Elvis impersonator, and he even entered the competition to prove it. We did a
Brilliant.
show where 2 Elvis fans fall asleep on an aeroplane and dream that they meet him in the desert. Surreal, but it had my favourite gag in it, which I have to. There's 2 favourite gags of mine, 2 favourite routines, and they always revolve around sharing. So I want to get this in for you.
Yeah.
We get to the end of the show with this, and we finally meet Elvis, our hero, me and Joe, the hapless clowns. And Elvis, you know, he used to wear them dark sunglasses.
Yep.
So Elvis takes off his sunglasses and he hands them to me.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and the other clown looks at me all sad. And this is the end of the show. I break the glasses in half and give half a glass to Joe. We both put half a glass on and walk off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's good. Alright, here we go. This is the one you've been waiting for. Cosmo is such a great storyteller. And, well, after decades running a circus, performing in a circus, he's got some really good stories. Cosmo Hardy, circus performer extraordinaire. Amazing stories. Stay tuned. But first, a word from our wonderful, wonderful sponsors. I love juggling, and the best place to get all things juggling and circus related, because, you know, they sell bubble stuff, unicycle stuff, all kinds of things, is oddballs.co.uk. I went to their amazing shop back in the 1980s and started buying juggling stuff, and, well, it's turned into an entire career for me. And now they're online as well. So go to oddballs.co.uk and get yourself some circus stuff. These guys really know what they're talking about. Will the juggling acts, the roller bowler, and the juggling club work together? Yes, they say, because they've tried it themselves. It's true story, true story. All right, so Oddballs, O-D-D. B-A, you can tell I'm very good at spelling. Should have learned more at school. Okay, Oddballs, ODDBALLS.co.uk is the sponsor. But let's get back to the amazing Cosmo Hardy. Tell me about the Bangkok Tiger Circus Royal.
Oh, no. How long have you got?
Yeah.
The Bangkok Tiger, which is one of the chapters I've already written for my book, Cosmo's Boots. Again, so we got a contract to go out to Thailand to work for a big circus.
Yeah.
It was called the Royal American Circus. It wasn't American, it was Australian. It was actually a small show that had become big. It was Silver's Circus, the Gasser family.
Yeah.
They're a lovely, fantastic family, really proper circus family. All the sons were lovely people. Frank was an amazing guy, the dad who owned the show.
Yes.
They're still going in Australia, but I think they sold it. The family sold the circus, and I've been in touch with them. So we got this contract to go out there. That in itself is another story, because the person who gave us the contact was, well, unbelievable. We get out there, big show, we're the clowns in the show. There's another clown on the show called Dougie Ashton, famous Ashton circus people. He's a really nice guy. Big shows, like 2.5, 3 hours long. So when you're not on, you'd play chess, you'd chill out. There was a tennis court, we had a game of tennis. If you had your timing right, you could squeeze a game in. We sadly couldn't, because we did an entree and some run-ins.
Yeah.
But Dougie only did one routine, so he'd go and play tennis with his wife. So we started the show, we're about a week into the show, and there was a cage act that opened the second half of the show.
Yeah.
So during the interval, they put the cage up. Initially, there were 5 cats in it, mixed cage. So two tigers, but they're only using one tiger. So over a period of 3 or 4 days, they retrained the tiger because it had been sick. So they waited it to get better.
Yeah.
It had got an injury or something. Put it back in the cage. Frank ran the routine with it. Fine. He said, "Yeah, we'll have all 6 in tonight." Fair enough. So the interval comes. They put the cage up.
Yeah.
The girls go in. They do this like jungle dance thing. And come off. As they go off, there's 2 doors. There's the cage where the tigers live. And do bear in mind, we didn't know this was an animal circus, as we probably wouldn't have taken the contract.
Right, yeah.
Because we were quite strong about that at the time.
Yeah.
We'd already signed it, and so we had to go. We got there, and it was a really, every night I used to go and say hello to the tigers, and it was sad to see in their eyes. They're wild animals, But it had happened, and we had to honour the contract. So that they open one door, the tigers run down this long cage tunnel, to the second door, which is into the ring. So they come through the back of the tent, into the ring. That door opens, and in they go, and they all go on their pedestals.
Yes.
There's 6 cats. So they run down, but the second door jams.
Oh.
So the lead tiger, bang, it hits its head on the door. Right,
Okay.
this is the one that hadn't done the act.
Yeah.
So the next thing that happens is this tiger starts scratching the ground, and it digs up, because it's not very far underneath, it digs up an electrical cable that was running one lights or something or other, gets an electric shock.
Oh no.
So this tiger, right, it's not only bashed its head, it's now had an electric shock.
Oh my
They
God.
unjam the door, the tiger runs into the ring. All 6 tigers go into the ring, jump on their pedestals.
Yeah.
I saw it happen.
Yeah.
I was standing just to the right of the cage and
Yeah.
I'd seen it happen.
Yeah.
I run out and I try and find one of the sons
Yeah.
to tell them what's just happened to stop the act. I
Yeah.
said, you've got a spook tiger there. But I couldn't find anyone. They're all up in the sound and light thing.
Oh no.
The act carries on. Sorry?
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. So the act carries on and it seems to be going all right. But Frank gets to this tiger, that the one that's been spooked, and it won't do anything. Yeah?
Yeah.
So the other cats have done what they were supposed to do, and it's all it's on a click. Yes, the whip is a fake thing. They don't really harm the animals. It's all on the click.
Yes.
They've trained them. So this guy called Benito, who was about 60, he was like a stagehand, but he'd been the guy who trained the trapeze act.
Oh, okay.
And they were doing the triple somersault, the flying Pharaonis. They were doing the triple.
Wow.
And Benito had been their teacher. So he goes round the outside of the cage with a metal bar,
Oh
prods
no.
the tiger to make it do the act.
Yeah.
So now the tiger's had an electric shock, bashed his head, and somebody's bashing it from behind.
Yeah.
So as Frank goes in, the tiger freaks and just lashes out, sends its claw out, grabs him,
Oh
pulls him in, and takes a
God.
chunk out of the left side of his body, just under his
Oh
armpit.
no.
Yeah, big.
Yeah.
Frank falls to the floor. The audience scream. Me, Joe, and Mike, the clowns, we run into the audience to try and pacify them.
Yeah.
The sons run into the ring to rescue their dad.
Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, they leave the cage door open.
Oh no.
The first son, Julian, lifts up a metal bar to stop the tiger eating the dad.
Yeah.
And there was a split second, and I saw this from outside, where the tiger drops and its hunches go up, which means it's going to attack.
Yeah.
And there was a face-off between Julian and the tiger, and Julian thankfully won.
Gosh.
Yeah, he faced the tiger down.
Yeah.
The tiger backs off a little bit, but it hasn't finished. It's still looking at Frank. It wants blood. Yeah. He lifts the metal bar up, smacks his brother across the ribs, breaks a couple of ribs, or badly bruises them.
Oh no.
Another stagehand runs into the ring with a fire extinguisher, water, and squirts the tiger back.
Yeah.
They grab Frank, pull him out of the ring, stick him in an ambulance, which has already been called.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this is the crazy thing, the door's open,
Doors
we're
open.
in the crowd, but the other 5 cats, right, carry on doing the act. Because they're on autopilot.
Yeah.
Just shows you how well trained they were.
Yeah.
They didn't react to what happened. They didn't jump in and all become a frenzy. They didn't go out the door, which had been left open.
Yeah.
They carried on. So Frank flies off to hospital, gets boop, beep, 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 off to the hospital. We're in Siam Park, so it's just into Bangkok to hospital.
Yeah.
The cage comes down, the show must go on, yeah? But Frank, the trapeze artist, the catcher, he's now got 2 broken stroke bruised ribs.
Yeah.
Dougie Ashton, who's the next act, he's been playing tennis. He
God.
comes back, the cage is down, he goes into the ring with his wife to play the trumpet. The audience they're laughing their heads off, they're letting off all that tension that they've built up.
Yeah.
Dougie comes off stage, he said to me in the chat, he said, Cosmo, he said, I was good tonight, wasn't I?
Oh no. Oh, that's
I
brilliant.
said, let me tell you what's just happened, because he's oblivious to what happened.
Yeah, of
he
course.
does not know what's happened. He's literally come off the tennis court,
Yeah.
run backstage and gone straight on. Yeah, because that's the sort of guy he was. He was quite, he's on the edge with it all.
Oh my word.
That goes down, the show carries on, gets to the end of the show, right?
Yeah.
But Frank cannot be the catcher.
No.
He's got 2 broken ribs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Benito, who trained them, he says, I'll do it.
Okay.
He goes up, this is a 60-year-old bloke, goes up into the
60 years
trapeze.
old.
Yeah, and on the second attempt catches the triple.
Wow.
Yeah. Tell me about
Class
it. And then
act.
we all the show, the people, audiences, same thing. The next week or so, the place was packed solid.
Yeah.
Obviously, it makes the press, it made Circus News round the world. And,
Wow.
gassers were part of the NEFAM, so everyone knew around the circus world. We get in the bus to go back into town to our hotel, but obviously about half a dozen of us, the sons, myself, Joe, Mike, we all go straight, and a couple of the girls, we go to the hospital because we're good, Frank's like buddied up with us. So we go in the hospital, and there's Frank laying on the bed, all the drips coming into him.
Yeah.
And you know what the first thing he said to us is?
No.
Go on, you do know this, just think about it.
Oh, I
He
don't
said,
know.
Did you finish the show?
Yes. The show must go on.
Yeah. And he was like, he spoke to everyone, to say well done, you finished the show.
Brilliant.
And it was like out of a movie, like with
Wow.
Yul Brynner or someone, Charlton Heston or something. Frank was so strong, so strong.
That's amazing.
He had a few blood transfusions.
Gosh.
So bearing in mind this is the time of AIDS, so you've got to be really careful with that.
Yeah.
Doing that, because the tigers, as I explained to someone the other day, they have poisonous saliva.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
you have to be really careful. Not only do you get a bite, but there's toxins in their saliva which adds to the killing process.
Yeah. Next time
So
I'm
they
near a
take
wild
that-
tiger, I'll bear that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get bitten, even if it's a little nick, yeah, because they'll bite an animal and then track it, and then the
Yeah.
animal collapses and they get it.
Was this quite early on in your career when you went to Thailand?
Yeah, it was about 5 years into it, 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we really thought we'd landed, and it was a great contract to get. We come back, a lot of people wanted us to work for them at the time.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's a good one.
Obviously, and at the next clown convention and at some of the circus events, obviously everyone wanted to know the story.
There you are.
Bangkok Tiger. So I told the story. I told it as I saw it.
Wow.
And that's what I saw. It was like a movie. It really was like a mad. And Frank was back in the ring within about 5-6 days.
Amazing.
That tiger went back to Australia, where it lived out the rest of its life happily.
Yeah.
And obviously the other cats carried on doing the act.
Wow.
But how brave is that? You go back in, like,
Wow.
the closest I ever got to that was dislocating an elbow on a globe, and then about a week later getting back on the globe.
Yeah. Well, I've had I don't want to talk about me, but I've had shows where I've been doing some fire juggling. I've blown the fire out and I've burnt my mouth quite badly, but then I still got half an hour of the show to go. Yeah, you have to carry on sometimes, don't you?
You do, yeah. I chopped 2 of my fingers off once
Oh God!
in a food blender, and I finished the show.
Brilliant.
As you do.
Oh, I've got a quick question. So if you were working in Thailand, you've got an audience who doesn't speak English. Do you ever?
Yeah.
Do you just, as a clown? I guess you can just go full on. You don't really need the audience to speak your language, do you? You don't.
No, we learnt a little bit of Thai, so we could punctuate the action. Mainly we were doing diving in the bucket, so there's a countdown at the end. We did it from 5, not 10, which is a bit. And also you need to keep the pace. In the UK, we'd do it from 10, and then there'd be loads of gags within the 10 as well.
Yeah.
Because we were stretching things out in the UK when you're doing a street show. But over there, we learned the words that you punctuated the routine with. But lots of hups and ahs for the acrobatics.
Yeah.
And it's, clowns are visual at the end of the day.
Do you prefer talking or non-talking in your shows?
Good question. In the circus ring, I think it's really important to minimalise your words.
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky because we've got a very small tent and we can be very intimate. So we can talk, and I've had acts that were talking acts because they can, and because the audience is so close, you can get that intimacy. But I think in a big show, you want to keep the action to the max and the talking to the min.
Yeah.
Leave that to the ringmaster.
Yeah.
Any of the lion comics that might come on. So as far as the clown is certainly, for the fast-paced clowning, like you want to minimalise it and let the audience do a lot of the work.
Yeah.
So they can see the action, they can see what you're doing, and they can build their own narrative.
There you go.
I think that engages more as well.
How did you get to Russia? There's another question. How did you get to Russia early in your career?
That was on an aeroplane.
Oh, you got there on an aeroplane. Oh, yeah,
yeah. Moscow. That was on the way to Thailand. And obviously we thought we'd take the opportunity to visit a few places. So that was just when Glasnost was happening as well.
Oh, there you go.
The weirdest place in Russia that we went, it was the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
It was Tashkent. That was a strange place.
Wow.
Very really desolate almost.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an experience.
But Moscow was quite big, and yeah. How did you know we went to Russia then?
I just flicking through the internet on bits and pieces about you. It's in there, out there somewhere.
Fair enough.
Wow.
That's good. We met Slava Polonin on an aeroplane.
Slava
plane,
from Slava Snow Show.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just per chance. Didn't even know he was going to be on it, and we were both flying that. Had a good old chat as you do.
Wow.
Yeah. I taught him everything he knows.
That's right. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, no, great clown. What a genius, eh?
Yeah,
the routines he thinks up are just amazing.
Again, not about me, but yeah, I saw his show when it came to Singapore, and then when he came to Hong Kong, I was part of the publicity for him. So I walked around Hong Kong with a giant balloon on my head full of confetti snow to advertise the fact that Slava was coming.
No snow. Yeah. Chris the Piss Lynham. Do you know Chris the Piss?
I've heard of him. Yeah, I don't know him.
He's working for him at the moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So when they come up to Norwich, obviously we can go and see the show. Yeah, so it's good for Chris to get the job, and he's a good clown, funny guy.
Brilliant guy. Here's my next one.
Yeah.
I began my career as a Charlie Chaplin impersonator. Someone said, "Can you come and do 5 minutes dressed as Charlie Chaplin during our review show?" And I did that. Charlie Chaplin juggling act. What my question is: are you a fan of Charlie Chaplin? How big a fan are you?
Well, I also do a Charlie Chaplin tribute act, which lasts about 40 minutes. And I'm a big fan, massive fan. There's my family shared the same name as his family, the Hills.
Oh.
Hannah Hill was his mum, from London, East End of London, so we're Hill family as well.
Wow.
There's loads of stories. Charlie was quite a character. What I like about him was the fact that he wrote, was in, directed, paid for, he did everything.
Even the music, everything, didn't he?
Yeah, even some of the music. So, and in a sense, that's what we do with the circus here. Me and Joe used to. Now me and my son, we do everything. So it's that one man show. I think with his movies, what I loved about them was they weren't just comedy movies. He always had a message.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
With a small p, political, emotional. He was always trying to say something, and I think I love that about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Gold Rush. My favourite, obviously, the Circus, which is of all the movies, that's just a nice jaunt.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are a little bit more serious. Modern Times, that was quite a statement. Obviously, The Great Dictator.
The Great Dictator.
What a movie, and I've never done it yet, but my idea was to, in this show that we were writing, I was going to do that thing with the Earth.
Oh yeah,
he does, in The Great Dictator, because our show we were writing was almost like an ecological thing again.
Yeah,
building on from the Prophecy tour of 2012, and I was going to do that thing with the Earth. Like I was going to play a sad clown who's the clown wears his heart on their sleeve, and I'd written a poem in lament of the clown in regards to what's happening now, the lack of truth, the lack of trust, respect, governments treating people like and all the rest of it, the ecological disaster that's going to happen, and no one seems to have the people want things to change, but the governments are reluctant to do anything because they want to maintain the systems of power that exist. And sadly, I don't think we're going to solve the ecological disaster with a capitalist system.
No.
We've got to change that system. It has to become fair. It has to become equitable. Anyway, that aside, So I was going to hopefully do, the clown was going to have this earth
Yes.
and do a little dance with it. Same as Charlie did. Charlie did it in reference to World War II, but, same idea there.
Yeah.
So, I do a Charlie act.
You
They
also do
say that,
You also do a Charlie talk, don't you? You can actually do a talk.
I do, yes.
Like
Yeah,
a
that's
lecture.
correct. Yeah. Yeah, and I enjoy that. I mean, I get really nervous about it. You know what? The first time I ever did it, so I did the Charlie act, and I'd been doing a talk already called Cosmo's Boots
Yeah.
for the WI, which is like, that's why I can talk to you, which was like my life, because I'm writing a book at the moment. And I thought, having, my bookshelf, whenever I go on holiday and I find an antiquarian bookshop, I go and find all the Charlie books. If I haven't got them, I buy them.
Yeah.
So I've got a big long shelf, and there's hundreds of books written about him. I've picked the best ones, obviously. So I've read a lot, and I thought, well, I'll do a talk for the WI and anybody else that would like it, some of the museum services, art colleges, for Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
So I put this whole talk together, done the history, decided what angles I wanted to approach it from, gag formation, some of the politics history, what happened to him after 45 after he left America. There's a whole chunk of his life.
He lived a long time. Yeah, he lived a long life.
And he carried on working and advising, and he lived in Switzerland and everything like that, by the lake. All his children, who I'm friends with a few of them on Facebook, met Eugene Zippos.
Wow.
And corresponded with one of his daughters who was doing a circus act, because she had a circus.
God.
Anyway, that aside, so I got my first talk for Charlie, which was just up the road here, about 6-7 miles out of town. So I went to the talk. It was a WI Women's Institute, all women. I'm really nervous. Part of the act is I put his gear on. I do the bread roll dance.
Oh, the famous bread roll dance with the forks.
So I did. That was going to be in it. I hadn't even started. I put my table there, put all my books out. I'm preparing myself, trying to be centred. I was talking about Tai Chi.
Yeah.
This woman comes along. She wasn't that old. She could have been 65, 66, whatever. I can't remember. She looked lovely, beautiful, well-dressed lady.
Yeah.
And she said, I was Charlie Chaplin's nanny.
Oh my God. No pressure then.
For the children, when the children were growing up by the lake in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And I've come here to do a talk about Charlie Chaplin, and you're here. You looked after the kids. You lived in his house.
Oh my God.
I said, am I? And I was totally. I wish you'd have told me after, not before. I carried on. I did the whole talk, obviously, and afterwards I said, "Was that all right?" To her, I said, "Was I?" She said, "No, that was fine. You were fine."
Great.
I said, "God, thank." She told me a few more stories though, which was fantastic.
Lovely.
So that I could then add them to my thing. So from her, and I arranged to have a cup of tea with her. I said, can we meet up and have a cup of tea, and I can pick your brains, if that's all right?
Yeah.
So she agreed. So then she told me some funny stories about him, which then I could include in my talk,
It's a great idea as well, because I think you said yesterday that you're almost like your business idea is say yes to everything. And it seems to me that that's a great way of approaching it. You can trying to do as many things as possible. You have a circus, you have roving. You can do roving, and why not do a talk about Charlie Chaplin? Why not do a talk about yourself? I read about your Cosmo's Boots, which you're writing a book, and you have a talk to go with that, all about your own career.
Yeah.
I kind of.
It's interesting. I mean, performers have to have big egos.
Yeah. Yes.
To have the courage to be it. But I think what happens when you start out, when you're young, and you probably know this yourself, you're going for it. You are the dog's bollocks.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you temper that, and you start to understand. And I've always, I got to a point eventually when I just used to say to people, it doesn't matter who I am. I could be Fred Bloggs.
Yeah.
Just watch the show, enjoy it. And you know what? When I get home and I've finished, I just want to be not normal, because there's no such thing, but
switch off.
On a washing machine.
Switch off from your performance mode.
And I'm not interested in fame anymore. I mean, I went to some lovely Buddhist talks.
Yeah.
and picked up the message. You know, you mustn't attach yourself to fame.
Ah,
Just do and be what's really coming from inside you.
yeah.
So even writing the book, it's a story, but you know, the story I want to be more about the people I met and the places I've been and the things I've seen.
Yes.
Not about me as such. Yeah, I just happen to have had those fortunate experiences. But they're experiences that I believe that if you share them, it can open people's eyes and open people up to the amazing place that this planet is, and amazing people that are on this planet.
Also, your career has spanned quite an interesting period because you must have seen the in inverted commas our industry change over the decades because you started before Cirque du Soleil had arrived. You started before because they changed circus and they kind of killed off the
Yeah,
old style of circus in a way. You started before the juggling boom arrived in the late 1980s and early 1990s when there were lots of juggling shops. You started before that. You've been through the period where, I mean, when you started there were no circus schools, but nowadays there are quite a few
yeah,
circus schools in every country.
yeah,
So
yeah.
things
Yeah, I
must
know what
have
you're saying. Yeah.
you must have seen changes in your industry. Have you noticed there's just things changing? Like your circus show, nowadays you must have acrobats who've trained at circus schools on the ropes and
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, they're really good things to bring up, and it's a funny one because we were called like the hippie clowns.
yeah,
So a lot of grad shows wouldn't necessarily book us because they felt they had a bit of a handful with us because we were wild boys.
yeah, yeah,
The ones that did, you know, we were 100% professional, and the ones that did were benefited from it, you know.
yeah,
But as soon as we could, we got our own show because we wanted to do our own thing. And I remember seeing Cirque du Soleil and just being amazed by them.
yeah.
Alec, the first show they did. I went to their headquarters in Canada with Haggis and Ken
Oh,
one
yeah.
time, which was really cool. You know, we checked them out, had a chat, saw the way they trained. And so then what happened was when we started advertising for people for our own show,
Yeah,
after doing 10 years on the road with other shows and doing the street work and the street festivals, you know, Winchester Hat Fair and stuff like that, arts festivals, Trequart, we found that we were getting a collection of people applying. At the time, there was Circus Space in London,
yes,
and there
I've
was
heard of that.
Bristol Circus
Yeah.
Media. So, you know, I knew people from both, and the people that were coming from those initially weren't. Their acts were cool, but they were too up their arses about it all. They wouldn't get their hands dirty. They didn't know how to tie a knot on a tent.
Yeah.
Two of them I sent home one time because they started telling me how to put my tent up. You know, and it was like, hey, you've just come straight from London. You've never even lived in a tent on a caravan, and you've never put a tent up before, and suddenly you're telling me how to put my tent up. I've been doing this for 10 years already. So I sent them home because I thought there'd be trouble. So that's changed. They've got better, and I think it's been a symbiosis between trad and them.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that the Falls stand between both worlds because we employed people from traditional circus families, Ramon and people like that, Ted
Yeah.
Ross, who knew the ropes, great
Yes.
acts, and could get stuck in straight away, and
Straight
they knew
away.
what it meant to be circus. They meant sometimes they knew you would sometimes taking the tent down at 9 o'clock at night.
Yes.
You know, we took the tent down in Bedford once in the night time, moved and put it back up again the same night
Wow.
because there was all the riots going down in Bedford, and the guy said to us, he said, please, he said, can you get your show over to this part of Bedford and do some psychology, i.e. some happiness?
Yeah.
And we did it for him. Bradford, not Bedford, Bradford. And
Yes,
we did it.
Bradford. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did it for the guy, you know, and there's still a riot, but hey, in the afternoon at the Mailer, it all kicked off. Everyone,
Right.
loads of people ran into our tent, all the families for safety.
Safety.
So yeah, so I've seen the changes.
Yeah.
I've loved, you know, change is natural. It's part of life. I'm not against change. Some good, some bad. Cirque du Soleil are what they are. I would never try and imitate them. I've always followed my own path.
Yeah,
And I've
well,
had some
you started
interesting-
before then.
I'll tell you a true story, and not bigging up the Falls in any way whatsoever, but
Yeah,
we were at a small village called Western Longville.
yeah,
The tent was solid, packed solid, rural arts tour, you always filled a tent. This was a particularly good little village, quite middle class,
Yeah.
so we were packed solid. So the show's gone on, we were doing the Prophecy tour, so it's a good 10 good, funny, big funny show. Was
Yeah.
it Prophecy or was it, no, it was the one when we'd lost our jobs in the circus. Yeah, we lost our jobs in the circus. That was a different one. So we were trying loads of other jobs.
Yeah.
That was what the comedy
Yeah.
was. Anyway, so we're doing the show, got to the interval, we're all backstage, people running the shop. Someone called me from the shop, have you got any change? So I walked round to the shop to hand them some change. There were two women standing there having a conversation.
okay.
And one woman said to the other, and I overheard this, she said, "This is better than Cirque du Soleil."
Ooh.
So my ears went up and I said, "Yeah, have you seen Cirque du Soleil?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "I was there last week." I said, "How on earth could you say we're better than Cirque du Soleil?" She said, "I'm sitting in the front row," she said, "and I feel the connection with you guys is
Yeah.
intimate." She
Yeah.
said, "I've never laughed so much."
There you go.
So what she'd seen one week, which is a spectacle, the most amazing, beautiful spectacle you're ever likely to see, the colour, the
yes,
music,
yes.
you know, Soleil, and then she'd come and seen the foolhardys, 10 people sweating in front of the audience, the distance, you know, 5 foot, sort of 10, whatever
Yeah.
it is, the distance, and lots of comedy and lots of ad hoc comedy, you know, off stage remarks and
Yeah.
you know, able to react to the audience.
Yes.
So if a kid says something, you've got the time and space because it's such an intimate venue, like a street performer.
Yeah, you can go
We
off
came
with a
from the street.
tangent. Yeah,
As circus performers, you know, Circus in a Suitcase, Bolton was the first book I read,
There you
know,
go.
about circus. So we came from the streets. You know, the Fools started work at Glastonbury Festival, at these festivals, doing street-styly shows,
yeah,
you know. So when you've got that experience, then suddenly you're in the ring, and someone and because the audience is close and you can hear, I can hear the back row of my audience. If they say something, a heckle.
Brilliant.
If I'm in the Albert Hall, I can't hear the
Yeah.
back row.
Yeah.
You know, so then I can react to that, as can the rest of my performers as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I
I
mean,
think
you
that's-
can be so proud of
that's
what
what
you
we
do. It's a pretty amazing thing that you put on. Yeah, you can be so proud of that. It's amazing. Oh, look, you said that you mainly concentrate on a family audience. You don't do so much
Yeah.
of the late night stuff. But I found a video of the Foolhardy boys doing a towel routine. that must be for adults. Can you describe
You've
that?
done your research, mate. You've done your research. Yeah. That was Malcolm Hardy's routine, wasn't it, with the balloons?
Yes. So
Yeah, it's been obviously the lads adapted it to you to do it with towels.
so you're
It's
naked.
quite a common routine. It's nothing novel.
Yeah.
It was actually a request.
Yeah. Oh, there you
one
go.
One of our girlfriend friends. She said to Luke and Wilson,
Yeah.
"Can you do this act?" You know what? We were at that festival. They looked it up on YouTube. They practiced it, added their own little bits to
Yeah.
it because obviously Wilson being an accordion player,
Yeah.
he could put the live music in.
Yes.
And him and Jack practice 3 days solid. Like, you know, when they weren't doing the show, they were practicing
Right.
and then did the act at about, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning
Right. There you go.
in the cabaret show. Yeah,
You can find
So
that on
well done
YouTube. You
finding
can
that.
find it on YouTube. Yeah. So
Yeah,
basically,
Melanie put that up. We didn't post that. Someone else posted it.
two guys are naked. All they've got are towels
Yeah.
covering them, and they're moving the towels around as fast as possible, not to expose themselves.
Yeah. And at the end, they all walk off with their bum showing.
yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I was in the audience. I was crying. with laughter. Like, because one of them was my son. You
That's
see.
right.
Yeah, it was funny.
Having been in the business for so long, how important is it to have some backup plans when you desperately need to make some money and one part of your business isn't making any? Like right now, there's coronavirus, and so there's no live shows. So you're also a Tai Chi
Yeah, I mean,
teacher.
I'm putting it out to everyone out there. Be strong, keep the faith, and be ready to return. Don't give up. Whatever
Yeah.
you do. I mean, it's going to be a difficult 2 years. I don't think I don't think it's going to be, any less than that. So I think everyone needs to just have a real hard think. Maybe, every single job we had this summer was cancelled.
Yeah, yeah.
£80,000 plus worth of
Yeah,
work.
yeah. Well, if I go to your website, it has the shows, and it says, unfortunately, it says
I
cancelled
had to
through
give
it.
back all the money for circus camp that we run.
But that is interesting, though. Just to jump in, when business is better than this, you do have a lot of different options for making money. You've got not only can you go off at a tangent and be a Tai Chi teacher, giving private Tai Chi lessons, but
me personally,
you've also got. You do workshops. You can do talks as well as your circus show. You can do roving.
Mix and mingle. Yeah. There's strings to the bow.
Strings to the bow.
It's the website is Foolhardy Circus Arts.
Yeah.
So as a collective of people, and I'm very loyal to people that work with us. I see everyone as a foolhardy, and a lot of people that work with us and for us, after a while, consider themselves to be foolhardies.
Yeah.
And they stick to our motto. We've got a Buddhist constitution, right livelihood. So to try and uphold those values when we're working.
That's good.
I think it's really important. And we were doing that 20 years ago, before all the Arts Council decided it was good practice. And then they said, hang on a minute, we've been doing this. You need to come and talk to us. Well, you should have been talking to us 25 years ago.
All right.
But hey, for some people, and I know, my trapeze artists, I know Jack, one of the jugglers, he hasn't got any other strings to his bow. He's a young lad.
Yeah.
He's just been a juggler. Yeah. No one could have seen this coming.
No
one could have seen the reaction of the governments to it.
Yeah.
Which has been unbelievable. I don't know what's going on, to be honest. Hence my poem, The Lament of the Clown. I'll try and find it and say, I think it's on my Facebook page, Cosmo Hardy.
There you go, put it up. Send it to me.
If you can find it, it's on my Facebook page. I've stopped doing Facebook though, so but if you find it, it's on there somewhere. I did it during the lockdown.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate. I can duck and dive to survive and be ready for the next. When we restart.
And you've got to do. Have you got your Tai Chi class? Have you got your Tai Chi class in about on the hour? Have you got your Tai Chi class in about 20 minutes?
10 o'clock. Yeah. Okay, what's the time now, mate?
It's 22.
We're good.
So I'll do these. I've got about 10 questions for some quick answers.
Wow.
So here we go. These are the random questions. Here we go. Okay, question number 1.
Go for it.
How did you get the name Cosmo?
A girlfriend called Alice called me Cosmo. My name was Nipper originally as a clown. Yeah. My real name's Cos, so she made Cosmo.
Foolhardy Circus. What an excellent name. It seems to link your family name and the idea of a clown and a fool. Who came up with that idea?
Well, that was Joe Fool came up with that. We were on our way back from Barsham Fair trying to think of a name. He thought of Foolhardy because what we'd done at the festival had been foolhardy.
There you go.
As soon as we got back that night, we looked it up in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Foolhardy. So we thought, how can we do this? So Joe became Joe Fool.
Yeah.
I became Cosmo Hardy, and Mike became Mike Folk.
Oh, there you go.
We registered those names with Equity. So we became the Foolhardy Folk.
That's right.
Mike left, so we became the Foolhardys, and then Joe's passed away, so we're Foolhardy Circus Arts.
There you are.
But we've kept the name, and it's a good name. I love the name.
Next question: how much equipment do you take to your circus skills workshops? Is that a lot of stuff to carry?
Well, we've got a truck, so we rock up in the truck. I have 20 of everything at least.
20 of everything. Wow. What is a circus camp? What is a circus camp?
We set up in a field. About 300 people come along. Our camp is designed for home-educated children. Yeah. Mainly, there are some kids that go to school, but 80% are home ed. We have the circus panic family there. So we have three tents with 3 age groups. Well, 4 tents actually, 4 different age groups. Around about 30 performers. Wow. Who teach all the various age groups. That lasts a week. It's quite informal. There's a structure to the day. We just have fun in a field. It's a lovely thing. I'm
bowing down. You do so much.
That was my wife's idea. That was not my idea.
Not your idea.
She came up with that. Her and a girl called Vicky more or less run it.
Amazing.
Office-wise, I couldn't do it. I just put the tent up and teach.
Do you have a favourite walkabout character? I've seen some really cool ones. I've seen Sight in Security. I've seen the Firemen. I've seen the Rock Stars.
Yeah, I think the favourite changes with time. It depends on the flavour of the year or the month.
Yeah.
I love Sight in Security.
It's such a good name.
Yeah. Recently, that's good for a festival, you see.
Yeah.
And I just sit in the field. As a tramp clown. You know, my favourite one was myself and Joe. We were at a Maui Wowie festival.
Yeah.
And we always had this thing at the festivals. As long as we got the trucks there, we've got, half of our wardrobe and half of our props are on board somewhere on one vehicle or in a caravan. So although we'd go with a clear idea of the shows we were going to perform and we'd have 4 or 5 different walkabout costumes, I always loved to make something up while we were there.
Yeah.
Having all that gear.
Yeah.
So one, Tramp Clowns, we knew we were going to do the Tramp Clowns.
Yeah.
Because we'd been clowns that year. And the friend of ours was, a friend of mine owns Coco's old wagon.
Okay.
Yeah, his beeping wagon, and he was trying to sell it to me for 15 grand. I would have bought it, but I didn't have anywhere to put it. Anyway, so he was there and he was doing some painting. He's an artist. And we saw this tin of black paint, and me and Joe almost instantaneously had the same idea. Because we were sitting there talking to him, this guy drinking tea, watching paint dry. So we went into the middle of this field at this festival with a piece of wood, painted it black, put the paint down with the brush in it, sat in our 2 deck chairs as the Tramp Clowns and watched paint dry.
Watching the paint dry.
And we did it. We didn't do it for an hour. We did it for 8 hours.
Wow.
We sat there for 8 hours.
Wow.
Which made the gag. And people came and went from the festival. We were right in the middle of the festival. So everyone at some point would have seen us. And then they would have gone to their tent, gone for a beer, gone back to the tent, come for a beer. We were still there.
Watching the paint dry. Oh, that's a good one.
Because
Brilliant.
everyone says it's like watching paint dry, but who's actually done it? So we did it.
Oh, this was a major thing. How and when did you decide to get your own circus tent? That must have been a big decision.
I had the vision. I always had the vision. Working for the other circuses, which was great. Zippo's, Austin Brothers. Zach went with Jerry Cottle, and and all the rest of them. It was you're doing your routines. You are doing your routines, and they more or less most people would let you do the ones that you were doing at the time, and gave you head to do your own thing. But I always, because these were trad shows, I always just thought ringmaster act. Didn't carry it for me. It didn't, and I knew there was more. So as soon as we could, and we got a grant initially, and we put some of our own money into it, obviously. A girl called Michelle helped us sort it all out. So we bought our own tent. And
That's it. That's why.
Stuck our feet in. We'd learned how to put the tents up. We grabbed the 2 lads that had been our tent crew on Zippo's beat. Everyone knew the ropes already, and off we went.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was about wanting to do our own thing, I think, and write our own shows and have this ensemble thing with a little message in the shows. Yeah,
there you go.
We're our own bosses then, aren't we?
That's my next question.
It was never about money.
That's my next question. That was perfectly timed.
Yeah.
What is it like to be both a clown and the boss? I mean,
there's a lot of clown bosses of circuses I've noticed, so maybe it's part of the psychology of a clown. I don't know.
Right.
It's hard work. It's hard work because one minute you're, even backstage sometimes I'm on in 5 minutes and I'm trying to sort something out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard.
Are you able to be strict enough if you're the boss? Because when I'm the boss, I'm just not strict enough.
Me and Joe played it good cop, bad cop. So Joe was the strict one.
Nice.
But again, it's part of the philosophy. If you choose a good crew, a good bunch of people, and everyone knows what they're doing, there should be no need for any discipline. Everyone should just get on and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just chill, get on. You know what you got to do. You got to put a tent up. we know we've got a show at 6.
Yeah.
We know call time's at 5:30.
All right.
Boom.
Here we
Get
go.
on with it.
You said, of course, you don't do it for the money, but having a lot of performers in a circus troupe, even though there's only 8 or 10 of you, how on earth do you manage that financially? It must be hard. Because I get hired as a solo act almost my whole career.
Yeah.
And then they say, can you do a 2-person act? And I say, well, it costs twice as much. They go, oh no, we'll just have you.
Yeah. You're earning less.
Yeah.
I've got 10% battery left. It just said, you're earning less, and when you're splitting the money 4 ways sometimes, but what you're giving is so much more.
Yeah.
So I made a movie with my dad for Channel 4.
Wow.
And they were in the office with me, talking to me. My dad had to come and live with me for a week. It's quite an interesting program. And I said, I trust the universe. If I'm doing a good thing, then the universe will look after me. And up to now, it has, touch wood.
Yeah.
And so I carry on. I'm an idiot. I trust the universe.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
It's obviously worked out so far.
Yeah, I've lived off a bag of potatoes and a load of tins of tuna. I'm sure you have as well. So, and other times I've been in the best restaurant in Belgium with an agent who's wining and dining us.
Yeah.
Swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been flown to Brunei to do a show for the Sultan and his princes. The next week I am busking because I'm out on the streets just trying to collect the pennies. So you never know.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I'm thinking of going to do some busking. So I think the people needed something on the streets. Well, there's nothing on at the moment.
Well, I thought in my backup plans are, first of all, I'm married, so my wife's got a job. So if my shows fall down, I got my wife. I thought my other backup plan is I used to be an English teacher a long time ago.
Yeah.
Or else I could do street performing. But I tell you what, because of the coronavirus, you can't go out busking because no one's allowed to gather in a group of more than 4. So yeah, it's hard to have a backup plan sometimes.
Oh, blimey. Yeah. I do play music. I play in a band as well.
Lovely.
I mean, we haven't had any work either. But I could theoretically go busking and play music.
Yeah.
I've got a 12-volt amp. I could go and bash out some slap bass or something, with a backing track.
Yeah. Listen,
I think people need entertaining, that's for sure. There's no two ways about that.
No, I think
you can't live in a grey world. There's no point in existing.
No.
Without art and culture, we are just a bunch of robots working for the state and the system. So we got to find ways to entertain somehow.
Cosmo.
Yeah.
That's a great place to stop. Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Yeah. Nice one, Ben.
All right.
Love and peace, bro.
Love and peace to you. Have a great Tai Chi lesson. Take care, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right.
Wow. Whoa, wasn't that amazing? What a legend. Cosmo Hardy. What a story. What a load of amazing stories. That's why I do these podcasts, because I love to find out about these people in this industry that we do. All these amazing characters that percolate the circus and entertainment world on the fringes of show business. Oh Lord, what am I doing? I'm getting a bit too what's wrong with my voice? A bit presentary-ish. Anyway, look guys, I love this stuff, as you know, and if you want to know more, go to my website. There's footnotes there about all the names and stuff I mentioned in this episode, and of course not every single episode is available as a downloadable podcast all the time. I've got to keep my costs down somehow. But there are versions available on my website, thebigbenshow.com/podcast. It's a list of footnotes and references with photos and video. Well, it's basically a YouTube video version of the podcast, because that's free. All right. Hey, this is costing me money. No, it's not really. Enjoy yourself. Check out the website, thebigbenshow.com. Check out the amazing Foolhardy circus, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care, guys. Goodbye. Can you describe that?
You've done your research, mate. You've done your research. Yeah.